Imagine a scale designed to keep a whole community in balance. It only takes one person who doesn't understand how the weights work to tip that scale until the whole thing breaks. This tension between balance and chaos is at the heart of an ancient Buddhist Jataka tale, a story preserved for centuries to teach a lesson about leadership. The setting is the ancient city of Benares. In this period, Benares was a kingdom, a country governed by a king. The king relied on a minister, an important leader, known as the royal price maker. This man had a reputation for being honest. His job was to ensure fairness by setting prices that were truthful for both the palace and the people selling to it. When prices are fair, the kingdom stays stable. It creates a foundation of trust that allows a society to function. However, the king began to value his own bank account more than that stability. He wanted a higher profit, more money left over after every deal, and he felt the honest minister was standing in his way. He decided to fire the honest man and replace him with a younger man who looked the part but lacked any experience. It was a foolish decision, driven by a desire for quick results rather than long-term wisdom. The new minister understood his mission: make the king happy. He began setting prices that were disconnected from reality, causing the king's wealth to grow while the people of the city became increasingly resentful. When a leader is chosen for their willingness to please the boss rather than their skill, the system eventually starts to crack. Under this new rule, the marketplace became unpredictable. No one knew what their goods were worth because the prices were no longer based on facts. This came to a head when a merchant arrived with 500 high-quality horses. He expected to be paid according to their value, or the actual worth of such a massive herd. The king asked his new price maker to evaluate the animals. The minister, looking to save the king as much money as possible, looked at the horses and made a choice that ignored common sense. He told the king that all 500 horses were worth exactly one single cup of dry rice. The king took the deal immediately, and the horses were led away. The merchant was left standing in the palace, holding a single cup of rice in exchange for his life's work. When those in power only listen to what they want to hear, they eventually lose the ability to recognize the truth. The merchant sought out the former price maker, the man known for his honesty, and explained the situation. The wise former minister didn't suggest an argument. Instead, he told the merchant to give the new minister a valuable gift to win his friendship. Once the minister felt he was on the merchant's side, the merchant was to ask him one question in front of the king: what is the value of a single cup of rice? The foolish minister, now feeling generous because of the gift, agreed to give his answer during the next royal assembly. The merchant now had a plan that didn't require force. He was going to step back and let the new minister's own logic be his undoing. The royal meeting hall was filled with the king's advisors and most powerful people. The merchant stood in the center of the room and asked, "What is the true value of one cup of rice in this country?" The minister, eager to please the merchant, declared that a cup of rice was worth the city of Benares, the royal palace, and everything within the kingdom's borders. The hall erupted. The other ministers laughed until breathless, realizing the man the king chose couldn't even understand the simplest form of value. The king felt the weight of the room's laughter. Ashamed of his choice, he dismissed the fool and asked the honest minister to return to his post. A fair price was finally paid for the horses. The concepts of justice and wisdom, doing what is right and knowing what is true, became the standard in the palace once again. Greed might provide a temporary advantage, but it cannot survive the light of public truth. Think about the story we just explored. First, why did the king change his minister in the first place? Second, what was the foolish minister's biggest mistake? And finally, what makes someone a good leader? You see these dynamics in your own life, in your school, on sports teams, in your community. It is often tempting to choose the person who promises the most or looks the best, but the story suggests we look for capability instead. Because when the balance of a community is at stake, true leaders choose wisdom, honesty, and fairness over greed. Thanks for watching.